Hey Chums, welcome back to a Game with Chums podcast. I am your host for this episode, Paulus, Paul the Bloody, Paul the Wonderful, Paul the Best. And but with me, as always, is my ever reliable sideman. That guy who sometimes appears on my videos. Mr. Rawls,
The call of this guy.
I got an ego today, man. Jesus Christ, I don't know what happened. So Mr. Rawls, I'm going to start off asking you the question we ask every podcast: how you been, what have you been watching, what have you been playing, and how's your life in general? Tell me.
Life, it's the same as usual. But what I've been doing, I guess. Well, I mean, nothing's changed, man.
It's just so you sound like you're just giving up with everything.
I mean, have you seen these last 2 years?
Oh God, yeah. Sorry. Okay. What have you been doing, man? What have you been playing?
I can't remember if this was. I think this must have been before we recorded the last podcast, or after rather. I finished Guardians of the Galaxy, so I can't remember if I mentioned that on the last one or not.
No, you didn't.
I finished that I don't know, maybe a week or two ago. Very, very good game. Highly recommend it. And finished that, so I thought I'd start something new. So I started the new Life is Strange game, True Colors, which is also a very good game. And about halfway through that at the moment. It's really good. It's very, very emotional.
Yeah, well, most of those games aren't they, in that series?
But they've really beefed up the technology of it. Like the facial animation is really good, and that actually kind of works really well with how emotional the story is, because you can actually see it in the characters' faces. Whereas in the older games, they were quite stiff. But it's a really good looking game. Really enjoying it so far. What else? Oh, I started replaying Metroid Dread because I got 4 hours into it when it came out, and then just stopped playing it for some reason. When I say for some reason, that some reason is that it's on the Switch, and I just never picked the damn thing up. So I restarted that, and I'm further now than I was before, and very much enjoying it. It's a very good game. What have I been watching? I recently finished watching The Faraway Paladin, which I think I might have mentioned last time. I just started watching.
Yeah, you did mention it. Yeah,
it's an okay show. It's very obviously low budget, and it feels quite 90s anime in a lot of ways.
I kind of feel like you recommend. Well, actually, you don't recommend this anime, do you? It's not a Raw's recommendation.
I think I might have said I was enjoying it when I brought it up in the last podcast. The first few episodes are quite strong, and then it levels off a bit. It's still a good time. It's worth watching, but it is very low budget, and it's very evident that it's low budget. But it's been picked up for a second season, so I'm hoping they get a bit of a budget boost for the next one. But I'll turn up for season 2. I enjoyed it enough. But since I finished that, I started watching World's Finest Assassin. If you've heard of that.
I haven't heard of that one.
Another isekai, basically an old dude who's like the best assassin in the world. He's about to retire. But
I've heard of this, actually. Yeah, I've heard of this.
The people he works for kill him, and then he gets reincarnated into a fantasy world, and the goddess tells him she wants him to kill that world's hero. So I've only watched one episode of it so far, but it seems okay.
But
it's from the same studio that made one of my favorite animes of all time, My Next Life as a Villainess. So I'm going to give it a chance. But other than that, just watching Demon Slayer week to week, which is very, very, very good so far. And that's about it, really. Just playing Life is Strange and watching anime.
All right. Living the weeb dream.
And sitting here wearing my Ease t-shirt just to make it even more obvious. But anyway, what about you? What have you been up to?
Yeah, man. Not as much as you, apparently. Well, I've
had a really eventful time.
If we exclude working, not a great deal. Ooh, I haven't really played much games like which doesn't involve either recording or streaming. So I'm trying to get through Halo Infinite. Not like it's a chore or anything, but we want to do it like a sort of a spoiler podcast just devoted to it. And I wanted to get it done before today's episode. Obviously, that's not going to happen. So I've been playing through that. I really enjoy it. There's some shit hard bosses on there. I never thought I'd say that.
Yes,
about
there
Halo.
are.
You know what I'm talking about because we spoke about it before. I don't really want to say much because I think that boss fight in itself is kind of like a mini spoiler.
Probably, I imagine everyone that's played it that's listening immediately knows which boss encounter you're on about. Anyway,
yeah.
There are some proper spikes in that game.
Yeah. I mean, like before that, there was another boss encounter up on top of the spire. I was like, where's all these boss fights coming from?
There's quite a lot.
Yeah, so I'm enjoying Halo Infinite is a good game, a very good game. But the most important thing is fun. There's so much I want to do so much. I want to do all the little side missions, liberate the bases, liberate the Marines, take over bases. I just want to do all of that, but I'm more sort of focusing on the story. I just want to sort of get through the story and then I can do all that afterwards. But yeah, it's good, man. But yeah, apart from that, not much else. What have I been watching? I was watching the Book of Boba Fett, and I sort of dropped that. I haven't watched the last episode because it's kind of like not a lot is happening in it, and I'm sort of losing interest. It hasn't gripped me the same way as it's sort of like the Mandalorian did previously, which is disappointing because I like the Star Wars sort of series more than the main films at the moment. I think they're really better than the film. Not better,
yeah,
but
I think a lot of people would agree with you there.
Yeah, it's something different about them, and it's just it's not the same bloody story as the films. Like the films just churned out the same bloody Force Awakens, basically A New Hope. So yeah, it's not been great. I'm looking at my phone at the moment because I have actually started watching an anime again, but I can't remember the name of it. I'm trying to find my Crunchyroll account on here.
That memorable, huh?
It's good. I like it. It's one of the. It's gonna be the ones that are. It's gonna like all the mainstream people probably gonna have watched it, but I can't actually find my Crunchyroll account on here, and I'm trying to. Look, let me see if I can guess what the name is. Jesus Christ, this is terrible.
Viewers can tell we do a lot of preparation for these podcasts.
Yeah, sorry. I've been watching. It's a new series, My Dress Up Darling. I don't know how to pronounce that in Japanese. It's the English one, but it's very good. I've watched the first 3 episodes. It's good. I like it. There's obviously the main female protagonist is already being touted as best girl of 2022. It's about a guy who likes to make these little dolls, but it's Japanese ones. I can't remember what the specific term is. Then this other girl, this really popular, good-looking girl, likes to cosplay, but they're both considered. He's considered like an outsider and all that. She's really popular, blah blah blah, and then they sort of have a mutual understanding where she wants him to make dresses for her for the cosplay because he's so good at making these dresses for the Japanese dolls, and it's just like a romantic comedy slice of life film, but it's fun and it's nice.
And there's no isekai in sight.
No, I just you've gone into some really deep dive into isekai hole, man. I'm afraid I'm going to lose you, dude, man.
I mean, it's hard to escape from when like 70% of anime is isekai.
Yeah, if you listen to like a lot of AniTubers, especially like I think
I saw Glass Reflection did a video of it, but I haven't watched the video yet.
Yeah, like Glass Reflection, Giguk has mentioned he's really likes isekai. They go through the lists of like the new anime that's coming out for the season, and my God, there's a lot of isekai in there. So you'll be happy. But I've been Did I mention I dropped Jujutsu Kaisen? I think did I?
I don't know if you mentioned you dropped it, but you've said quite a few times that you weren't really into it.
Yeah. I think I got halfway before the tournament arc because there's always got to be a tournament. So I was just like, you know what? No, I don't. I'm not enjoying it. I'm sort of struggling to get through it. I can see why people like it, but for me personally, not my cup of tea, man. And I thought, what's the big deal about this? It's not that good. It's not I think it's kind of mid, to be honest, but I'm probably in the minority there, man. Yeah. So been watching that. Yeah, that's basically it, man. Not a great deal because everything's sort of opening up again, and I'm going outside again, man, playing in the sun. So,
all right,
yeah,
rub it in.
that, yeah. But
Mister, I've got a social life. Check this guy out.
well, you have a social life as well. You just
not really.
You just haven't been out as much, man. We run in the same social circle, so you should be doing the same things. But yeah, man, I think that's about it. So we're going to talk about gaming news, and obviously
nothing's happened though, Paul. It's been really quiet. Literally, like nothing has happened this year yet. Absolutely nothing.
This year in gaming's been quite dead, to be honest, hasn't it? So let's move on. No, seriously though, but obviously we got to talk. We've done a video on it, but I think we have to talk about it on the podcast, especially in the gaming news section. That Activision Blizzard, being acquired by Microsoft.
That little old thing
for a small amount of change, only 70 billion. Yeah, I think it's 68.7 billion. I think that's the exact amount. That's what's
US dollary dues.
US dollars. That's almost 5 times as much as the Bethesda deal that went through.
8 or 9 times as much.
Was it? Oh shit! Yeah, they only got purchased for, was it just under 10?
7.5. Oh. It was announced. I think it closed at 8.1.
Oh,
yeah.
Do you know what I heard? Right, I heard that Microsoft actually got a deal because the CEO, Bob, what's his name?
Bobby Shitstick.
Yeah, the way that the scandals and stuff have been hitting the company, it knocked off some of the value of their company.
Yeah, the shares were kind of in free fall for months before the buyout happened.
So Microsoft put their hands together and go, let's just buy them. So yeah, they bought them, and that caused a big ripple in the gaming world. It's a massive
disturbance in the force.
Yeah, some think it's a good idea, others not too sure about it, others really don't like the idea because it could mean certain games being exclusive to the Xbox platform,
and nobody wants that.
And because Xbox aren't allowed to have exclusive games. That's the whole story, isn't it? Like
That's the narrative.
It's the narrative. They can't have their exclusive games, or Xbox should start a studio from fresh, like Sony did.
Fresh and organic.
Which I don't know if anyone's aware. Sony do buy studios themselves. They don't.
They bought 5 last year.
Yeah, so they don't build them themselves or build them up. They do buy them, right?
They do both. Everyone does both. Everyone in the industry buys studios and incubates studios. But obviously, Microsoft have been buying a lot more recently, partly because they were in such a state. Pre-E3 2018, they had 5 studios. So they kind of had to do something drastic, either that or just get out of the gaming business. And I think we know which of those 2 picks a lot of people would have preferred.
Yeah. It's also because the Game Pass system's going so well. They probably need more to put on there to justify the costs and stuff. So that's why they purchased Activision. Because stuff can go on there day one on Game Pass. It's more enticing for the consumer to have these studios within the Xbox studio pyramid. That sounds really
pyramid
weird.
Bubble.
Yeah, bubble. Whatever.
Bucket, suitcase,
anything, man. But that sort of ecosystem is the word I was looking for. So yeah, the that's why they're kind of going on a buying frenzy, and apparently they're still not done. Apparently there still could be more, not big publishers being bought, but other studios that can be bought. So yeah, I don't think we're done with seeing Xbox open their wallets and buy, because they bought a lot of studios for the previous year and the year before that, been slowly building up. But obviously the Bethesda was a bit, the big publisher bought them, and now they've bought Activision. And
it still seems insane to me that they bought Bethesda and now they've gone and bought Activision on top of it. It's mad.
It always seems to be they're buying studios, publishers that have struggled or something like that. So it's more of an opportunity because the price, has gone down. So they've decided just to step in and buy them.
Well, this is the thing. I mean, they're both Bethesda and Activision are big partners for Xbox and obviously for Sony as well. But Bethesda were looking for a seller. I remember some chatter about it a good few years back. And people were saying, the owners might be looking to cash out in the near future. So if you're Microsoft and you've got absurd amounts of money in the bank and the opportunity in front of you is like, okay, Bethesda are looking to sell, you're going to snap them up before one of your competitors gets a chance to. Because if Sony snapped up Bethesda, then all their stuff's exclusive to PlayStation. And Microsoft have a lot of history with them. Like Morrowind was Bethesda Game Studios' first console game, and that was an OG Xbox exclusive. Oblivion was a year exclusive on the 360, and then Skyrim had timed exclusive DLC. So they've got a lot of history and partnership there. But if Sony had snapped them up, they would have lost all that. But perhaps worse than that, if someone like Amazon or Apple or Google had snapped them up, then they overnight become a competitor.
Yeah, it's like Facebook as well. Facebook are looking to get into gaming as well. So it's not just
the same deal with Activision as well.
Yeah, I don't think it was solely to stop PlayStation. Like you said, there are other companies looking to get into gaming, and
they're as much defensive moves as they are aggressive. They're designed partially, obviously, to compete with Sony, but also to make it so they don't have to compete against these other big tech firms in the next few years. Because
there's very few companies that can compete financially with Microsoft, but those like Amazon, Google, and Facebook can compete financially with Microsoft. I don't think Sony could. I mean, because they make good money, but they're not a $1 trillion company like Microsoft. They're like $1 billion. No disrespect. That's how it is. That's the difference between being a $1 billion company and a $1 trillion company. Because I'm not aware of Sony's finance. I think the gaming industry is the only industry that makes them money. I don't know if they're operating on a loss.
It definitely carries them. I think it's quite a good chunk of their net income.
Yeah, I know their films don't. Some of them do, but some don't. Spider-Man made $2 billion, but that's also in partnership with
Marvel and Disney.
Marvel and Disney. Yeah, Disney could probably get into the gaming industry if they wanted to.
They got out of it a while back, didn't they? They used to have a handful of studios, and they sold them all off and closed them all down.
Fair.
I think they're more focused on licensing things out to partners at this point.
They did the same thing. Like they bought like Fox and stuff to put on their streaming service. Like on Disney Plus. Sort of like what Microsoft are doing to put it on Game Pass. Makes sense. Like they don't have to pay third parties X amount of money to have their game on Game Pass. They still do, but if you have it all under one umbrella, it makes it look a lot more financial
enticing.
I mean, like if I was got into gaming, I'd be like, holy crap, man, look at this Xbox Game Pass, all these games that you can get on there. Day one. That's why I've been seeing a lot on Twitter that Xbox have been doing so well in Japan. There was a few pictures Xbox has been put in shops and flying off, mostly because some people say, it's because you can't get hold of a PlayStation. It's hard in Japan, harder, but Xboxes are more numerous, so people are sort of buying Xboxes, which is still good for Xbox, man. The scarcity of PlayStation in Japan is worked out for Xbox, because now Japanese consumers are, I'll give this a go. I'll play this. If I can't get hold of one, I'll give it an Xbox, and then they'll have access to all these games day one. There will probably be something new to them. I'll be like, holy crap, what's this?
But, what is this Gears of War?
What is this? Stop it.
And why are there 5 of them?
Yeah, why is there 5 Gears of Wars? It's Japan companies can't complain, man. There's like about 17 bloody Final Fantasies. They like to churn that shit out, don't they? They milk franchises. I can't speak today, man. I can't. I had a few drink shit last night.
Just a few,
man. Yeah,
a few medicinal beverages.
Yeah, it's quite sad when you drink alone. I like to have a beer, but when sometimes like you have a beer to relax, and then after that you have another one. And plus, I was streaming.
You're really relaxed.
So I was streaming last night, guys. I don't know if you know, I stream like for our Game of Chums Twitch channel. I stream and
check it out.
Check it out. I was streaming. I don't know why I'm talking like this. Streaming Mass Effect 3. And we actually had some commenters because I was struggling to find something, and it was like, just comments were coming up. He was like, "Oh, I need to check down now." I was like, "Yeah." Oh, I've got to watch a couple of people watching. I was like, "Okay." So technically, I wasn't drinking alone. I was drinking with people. And he even one of them commented saying, "Oh, yeah, the journal, like the mission organization tracking in Mass Effect 3 is terrible. It's dog shit. It's
objectively bad.
It doesn't update. It doesn't like do anything. It's just like, oh, it's so bad. I don't like it. But yeah, man, Microsoft buying Bethesda. They already done that. Activision.
They're buying them again. They liked it so much the first time. Buying
them again. But let's talk about, like, before we move on to the main topic, let's talk about like the pros of that, the cons as well, if you want. There was talk that some of the developers are who's the developer of Call of Duty again?
All of them, literally all of them.
Yeah. Or like they're hoping that Microsoft.
But I'm not joking. Almost everyone at Activision is working on Call of Duty. Okay. Literally all of them.
So they're hoping.
But some of the higher ups have expressed desires to like
not
slow down the release cadence a bit, so it's not like a yearly thing anymore. Which I'd approve of.
Yeah, I do. I mean, I'm not a big Call of Duty player. I don't not really think, but if they could like don't make it so they don't have to release it annually, it'd be fantastic. I think it'd be better for the consumer as well. Don't playing the same fucking game every time and riddled with bugs. You have more time to play it and enjoy it and create something.
That's the thing. Like, even if it's every other year, people can play one game for 2 years. Like, just keep updating it for 2 years, throwing more maps and modes and stuff. This is what games used to do. Like, how long did Halo 3 get support for? Halo 5 got support for like 2-3 years. Halo 5 was the only Halo game out for 6 years until Infinite came out. So, and people were still playing it. So you can have you could easily have like 2-year cycles and people would stick around and play that game. Plus there's Warzone as well, the Battle Royale that's free to play. So I think they could do that. And it would also hopefully free up some of those other teams, because you have, there's 3 main studios that work on Call of Duty. There's Infinity Ward, Treyarch and Sledgehammer. And they work on a 3-year cadence and they put a game out each year. So they each have a 3-year development cycle. But then you've also got like High Moon Studios and Beanox and what was the other one? Toys for Bob, who made I think they made Crash 4. But you've got all these other teams that have worked on stuff like Crash and Spyro and stuff like that, and they've all been pulled in over the last year or 2-3 years. They've all been pulled into Call of Duty, and now they're all working on Call of Duty as support studios, which means literally the only thing Activision put out is Call of Duty. And
Call of Duty.
Yeah, if they can slow the release cycle down, maybe some of those studios can go back to doing other stuff. Raven Software as well. There's another one that got dragged into it. But yeah, literally all their studios are working on Call of Duty, and it just seems absolutely mad to me. I mean, I know it's huge. It's the biggest game every year.
Yeah.
I get that. And also, I understand, like, there are probably people that don't want them to slow it down, people that play it every year, whereas I don't play Call of Duty at all, really. So maybe it's a bit rich for me to say, yeah, they should stop doing this, this, and this. But I think it'd be a net benefit because then you'd get more varied games out of them as well.
Yeah, totally, man. I agree. Anything else we want to mention about it before we move on? Because I think we've already done a video on it. We don't want to hype on too long about it.
Last thing, some Blizzard employees have been on Twitter expressing hope for the future, I guess you could say. They're kind of hopeful that this might turn things around, which is good to see.
Yeah.
Because things have not been great there.
Wait a minute, Microsoft giving hope to people? Aren't they supposed to be a bad company?
Literally the devil.
Yeah, aren't they meant to be like, apparently they're the devil, something like that? I don't know. Some people mentioned. It's like shame. I mean, it's a shame with sorry, man. Yeah, it's a shame with like Xbox because last generation didn't start off well for them, and people held that sort of like anger towards the brand and disdain for it. So they kept held that sort of mindset until into this generation. They could carry on. They still think of it how Xbox One was unveiled and how badly that was handled. People still think about it like that. But you got to remember, like they probably still same gamers who were playing 360, and they thought it was such a big betrayal of how Xbox One was presented that they've held on to that hate for them until this day. Maybe some have let it go and just realized that they're making amends.
That's the thing. Some people will never come around, and that's fine. That's their choice. But if Microsoft carries on doing things like continuing to sort of show they actually mean business in the industry and doing things like Game Pass, I think people will start to turn around after a while. But a lot of that loss of mindshare was, I say a lot, probably all of it, was down to Microsoft like completely flubbing the launch of that console and putting out a more expensive, weaker console and sort of forcing Connect on everyone and all the always online stuff that just made it an even more bitter pill to swallow. So it's on Microsoft to turn it around. And I think they are starting to turn it around, and I think we'll see more people start to come around.
I do think as soon as Phil Spencer came on board, that was the turning point. He started sort of roll up his sleeves, or sometimes he doesn't wear shirts because he wears gaming t-shirts a lot, and just got to work.
He's one of us.
Got to work with it, man. He's been a good thing for Microsoft, and now I think he's like the head of like I don't know,
CEO of Microsoft Gaming.
Yeah, I mean, good luck to him, man. Hey, Phil, if you're watching or listening, man, come on, you're doing great stuff. We'll shield for you. Practically, like our channel is pretty much like, I don't remember the last thing I've posted on the YouTube channel that isn't on Xbox, or not on Xbox, I should say. I don't think I have, man. It's been a while. I'm like, oh yeah, it's PlayStation and my Switch. I haven't fucking put any other videos on, but because of Game Pass, man, I've got so much on there.
Which makes it easy,
to
make it your primary ecosystem.
Anyway, man, let's move on, and we'll talk about our main topic, Mr. Ross. I bet you can't wait for this. I can see it in your eyes. Yeah.
Okay, lean forward expectantly.
Forward. Yeah. We all have them, don't we? Well, hopefully.
Feet?
No. What's coming out while I'm speaking? Voices. Some people don't actually have voices, sorry. But most people do. And we like them. We like the sound of some voices. But what I'm trying to get at here is voice actors, Ross.
That was all very circuitous.
Voice acting.
What about it?
Do you like?
No.
No. Okay,
that's the end.
That's the end of this podcast. That's the end. But yeah, seriously. Yeah, like we're going to talk about our favorite voice actors and some of their best performances of what we enjoyed the most. So it's not. I'm not going to just pick one. We're just going to talk about general, like all our favorite.
Just have a
chat. Just have a chat amongst friends. Just the boys and everything. The lads. Come on. So spill it. Who's your favorite of all time? No, I'm joking.
I don't know. That's a hell of a question.
No. Just pick one. Like, let's just start off. Like, who do you think is at the moment? Because we can there's a sort of a trifecta,
a hierarchy.
It kind of feels like it at the moment, where you got the ones who the voice actors that you always see always hear on the big AAA games. Like I'm saying, like a Troy Baker or Nolan North or something like that. If you got anything in particular, like, is there any particular voice actor that you enjoy that is sort of doesn't get the recognition that they deserve?
There's one whose voice I just really like, and I'm not even sure I can explain why. But there's a voice actor called Cassandra Lee Morris who does quite a lot of like Japanese games and stuff.
She does the English localization for it.
Yeah. She's American, but it's just I just love the sound of her voice. I don't know what it is, but she's in. If anyone checked out the Danganronpa video I put up during the week, or the previous week rather, because that kind of stealth launched on Xbox, just kind of came out of nowhere. But she voices one of the characters in that, and I think that was one of the first things I heard her in. That and Bravely Default. She plays one of the main characters in Bravely Default, probably the best character in the Bravely Default cast as well. And there's just something really pleasant about her voice. I'm not really sure what more how to sort of communicate that, but it's just, I don't know. Every time I hear her voice, I just enjoy it. But I think she's done a lot of anime dubbing as well, which a lot of American voice actors kind of seem to come up through that scene. Like start out dubbing anime and then get into video games, and tend to be in like Japanese video games, so like JRPGs and stuff like that. You've got like Laura Bailey, obviously, who everyone knows at this point. Like she's
who's Laura Bailey, for people who don't know?
The female Troy Baker.
What's she been in?
Everything. That's why she's the female Troy Baker. She's in literally everything. But she was in The Last of Us 2, and I've completely forgotten the name of the character. Abby. There we go. Yeah. She voiced Abby in Last of Us 2 recently, and also Kate in Gears 4 and 5. And
Kate Diaz, man.
Kate Diaz.
Yeah.
And she's just been in absolutely tons of stuff. But the first time I heard her voice was in Star Ocean 4. And she played like the female lead in Star Ocean 4. And also she was Risa Kujikawa in Persona 4. And she like came up through all that stuff as well, like starting out with doing anime stuff, and then like Japanese RPGs and stuff, and then now she's like in all the big Western games, basically, and it's like one of the most recognizable names and voices in the whole gaming industry, basically.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, she's Laura Bailey's good, man.
She is very good.
Say what you want about The Last of Us 2. She does a stellar job on that. Like all of them do, man. You always get that from Naughty Dog games. Stellar voice acting. It's really, really good. I liked. Abby got a lot of hate, obviously, for a particular scene, which I won't say, but overall, I felt like she gave that character sort of humanity and vulnerability and toughness as well. It was good. It was just good, well written character. I think
everyone in that game just did a fantastic job. Quite frankly,
yeah. Everyone like our good friend Troy, Mr. NFT.
NF Troy.
NF Troy.
Non-fungible Troy.
Can I get a refund? No. But yeah, like we can clown on him, but he's a solid voice actor, man.
He is very good.
Some people think he has a bit of an unfair monopoly when it comes to voice acting. Which is
again, he kind of came up through the same stuff. Like he was doing anime stuff, and then he was Kanji in Persona 4 as well.
He was Kanji. And holy shit, I didn't know that.
And he was the main character Yuri in Tales of Vesperia, which is one of my favorite games of all time. And yeah, a lot of them seem to come up through like dubbing anime and then dubbing like Japanese RPGs and stuff. And then they kind of like explode into like the Western side of things. And yeah, I mean, I feel like Troy Baker isn't quite as everywhere as he was sort of maybe like around about a decade ago when he was in literally everything. Like
literally everything.
Remember 2013 when what were the two biggest games of 2013? The Last of Us and BioShock Infinite, and he was the lead in both of them.
He was Booker in that, yeah. It was Booker in it. That's the name of the character.
Yeah, Booker DeWitt.
DeWitt. That's it. Fucking good though, man. Like his range is really good. He goes from a Joel to a Booker. I think Joel was supposed to be from Texas, right? And that's where actually Troy Baker is. But he doesn't. When you hear him talk normally, when he's not, he's talking normally, he doesn't have that Texas accent,
the Texas twang.
Yeah, but yeah, I think he brought out that Texas sort of side to him in The Last of Us because he did the mocap, the capture. Yeah,
it was all performance capture, wasn't it?
So it was a lot of physical acting involved in that as well. So yeah, fantastic, man.
He is. I mean, I think we discussed this last time when we talked about his NFT adventures. Like he does seem like he's got quite a bit of an ego. But he is a very good voice actor. Like he's genuinely a very good voice actor.
He might deny it, but I think he does. Like he does have an ego, and fair enough to him. It's not like a massive ego, but he must have a sort of small an ego. He's like, well, we've listed out what his qualities are, so he must have an ego, just not a big one. But yeah, man, like Troy Baker, man. But do you think like he does have an unfair monopoly? You standing in the way of other voice actors because it's a hard business to get into.
It does seem like it's a hard thing to get into, but you are always kind of hearing new voices. I feel like the cycle I kind of mentioned where a lot of them seem to, at least in the US market anyway, I don't think this is quite as true for like the UK and other markets, but where they sort of start off dubbing anime and then sort of like smaller projects in Japanese games. Like I said, Laura Bailey was Rise in Persona 4, and then she was Raimi in Star Ocean 4, and then she was Lightning's sister in Final Fantasy 13. So you kind of got going up by steps.
Oh yeah,
and
I forgot.
So
about
that. I think there's always new people coming in at that sort of level, like the anime dubbing and sort of like smaller game level. And then I think they'll eventually break through. But
it's I'm not too sure like how the pay is. I heard like for especially like small voice actors, like the pay's not great. I mean, once you like reach the higher tier of voice acting, it does get better. But starting off, I heard it's tough, man. Like it's a tough profession to break into. It's tough to make money from it as well. So I admire their craft, man. Like especially ones who've got a good range, because doing accents is difficult, as we all know. We do stupid accents, but obviously that's just for fun.
Yeah, it's just us messing around.
Yeah.
But that's probably also why they end up branching out into things like Laura Bailey and a load of other voice actors are in Critical Role, aren't they? They do stuff like that.
Critical Role. Is that the one from Geek and Sundry? Was that its own thing? Oh.
The D&D web series, isn't it? And like Laura Bailey's in that. I think her husband is in it as well. Travis Willingham, I think it is. Liam O'Brien, who is another very good voice actor, actually, who's in one of my favourite games. He's in Nier, the original Nier, voicing a sentient book.
What the fuck? What the hell?
And he's fantastic in it.
Sentient book.
One of the best things in a game that has a lot of high points. But yeah, I feel like a lot of them might end up branching out into stuff like that, and then I think some voice actors end up like having their own like studios and stuff, where they kind of sort of move up to kind of like the producer kind of role, maybe. But
yeah, man. Like it's not a cheap hobby to get profession to get into. You need to buy some good equipment. Like the mics we got now are like USB.
It would not cut it.
Condensed mics, and they're quite cheap. They do the job for us at the moment. I mean, we would like better. Maybe eventually we'll get some better equipment, better cameras, and all that. Especially for people, because not to sound like egotistical or anything, but we don't do the same job. We don't put on voices, but we do use our voices in gameplays and stuff like that. So the quality should be there. I mean, like obviously, like I said, we don't use great equipment, but it does the job for what we need. When we used to do lots of Let's Plays and stuff, we used to use the Blue Snowball because it's like it can pick up all of our voices fairly well. But when you listen back to videos, sometimes I watch some of our early stuff and
it sounds so echoey,
weird. You got to when you start doing it a lot, you got to start thinking of the acoustics, man. Do you know what I mean? Like trapping that sound in, like making it more like getting the audio to sound better. Because like you can tell from our videos to like say a big YouTube channel, gaming channel, the difference in audio quality. Yeah, because like USB mics are cheap, but they're not the best used. I know a lot of people use the what's the other one? You got the USB ones. You got the actual proper professional mics that they have like what's the exit XLRs, like to sort of change sort of manipulate the audio. So yeah, I think it's good, man. Like when you watch a good video and you hear the sound quality, it's good. It is good. I want to say that's what I want to say. But yeah, man. But voice acting, man. Do you think like games like need voice actors? Like, do you want? No, let me rephrase that. Like, do you think games have to have voice actors, or can you play a game without any voice acting in it?
I mean, it depends on the game, really. Like, would Hades be as good if it didn't have that voice cast?
No, Hades
probably not. Good. I think that elevates it quite a bit. But obviously, there are games that don't have any voice acting at all. Most of them tend to be older games at this point, but you still get like
obviously
games like smaller indie games don't tend to have as much voice acting, or when you get something like Celeste that just uses like babbly sounds like Banjo-Kazooie did years back. But I think if you're doing like the big cinematic narrative thing, then it would just be weird to have people standing there mute.
It's mute and just sort of But like you
imagine, like try and think of The Last of Us with no voice acting.
Yeah,
that'd be very odd.
My cat just appeared. A wild Gigi has appeared. Gigi, do you want to say hello? No, okay. Doesn't like us. Doesn't. But for the audio listeners, my black cat has just jumped up behind me and he's sitting behind me now. Just been out on the town. Do you like voice acting, Gigi? No, okay. Doesn't give a shit because he's a cat.
Doesn't understand the concept of video games.
Well, let's I remember a while back. I think you were interested in doing some voice acting. What happened with that?
Nothing. I didn't do anything.
Did you
not like my voice?
You didn't look into it or anything like that, did you?
Not really. I remember years back before Dragon Age Inquisition came out, they had a competition running prior to launch where you get to, if you won the competition, you get to voice one character in the game. and they gave you a handful of lines, and they wanted you to like record yourself reading the lines and then send them in. I was like, I could do that, but I didn't.
Yeah, you didn't.
Because I don't like my voice.
No. Isn't Laura Bailey in Dragon Age Inquisition? Or she's Scout Hardy? Or am I thinking of someone else?
I think she was, yes. I think she was.
I'm not too sure if it was her or the lady who voices... What's the lady who voices Liara? Fucking hell, she's a big voice actor. I can't remember her name.
Well, she was. I feel like she hasn't done
anything, yeah.
Ali Hillis. I feel like she hasn't done anything for a while.
Yeah,
she was Liara and Lightning. She was like huge for a while.
She was like one of the big ones. Like when you think of voice actors, she pops into your head. Yeah, but I haven't heard her in anything recently. Has she like retired from it or what?
Let's have a look.
Yeah, please do look into that. Mr. Rawls is looking into his.
Yeah, she hasn't really done much. Sort of the last new game she was in was Ratchet and Clank 2016. Wow! And then she's done like a few. She's done a few like FF spin-offs where she voices Lightning, because obviously she is the voice of Lightning, and then like Mass Effect Legendary Edition doesn't really count because that was just a remaster of work she'd already done. And then the last thing she was in that came out last year was Shin Megami Tensei 3 remaster. So yeah, it doesn't look like she's actually recorded anything since like 2018.
That's weird, man. Like Laura Bailey's just taken all her work away.
Yeah, and they were sisters in Final Fantasy 13.
Damn, man. We met.
Yeah, she was huge for a while.
Yeah, she was,
because of Lightning and Liara. Yeah. She was like running both of those characters kind of concurrently. Yeah, and she was like a big deal, and then she seems to have fallen off the
disappeared, man. We met her as well at MCM, which she was there for a sign-in. That's when we didn't have to pay for sign-ins back in the day. Yeah,
you just queued up,
and then you queue for a good couple of hours, but you got to get everything signed. And I got a few art books signed by her as well, and the voice of Jack was there as well.
Yeah. Courtney Taylor.
Courtney, it might be. I know it's Courtney, but I'm not too sure.
Courtney something.
Yeah, she's cool. She actually I've put stuff up on Instagram. Check out our Instagram account, Game with Chums. She liked a couple of my of our pictures that I put up there, which is cool.
It's Courtney Taylor.
Yeah, it's Courtney. It's the voice actor from Jack. Yeah. I mean, like if we could talk about if we talk about voice acting, we can talk about like certain franchises. Mass Effect being one. The voice acting in there was, I think, pretty stellar. You had Mark Meer as the male shepherd,
who we also met.
Yeah, who we also
met
at
a signing,
and
we wore dumb T-shirts, and he laughed about it.
Yeah. Well, we'll bang. Okay, yeah, that was the meme back in the day, man. And the female shepherd is, I want to say, Jen Hale did it. I'm correct. If I was to pick one, if you put a gun to my head and was like, Paul, pick your favorite voice actor, it'll be her. I really like Jen Hale. I think she's great. Seems like a really nice person. Well, years back when we were younger men, my younger sister, she made her own website about Knights of the Old Republic, and she managed to get an interview with Jen Hale, sorry. I couldn't believe it. I was like, what? How the hell? Not like a face to face. It was all like correspondence
online.
Yeah, but it was so cool. I should remind my sister. I was like, do you still run that website? Or is it dead now? Like, what's going on there? But yeah, obviously, probably the first role I heard of hers was Bastila Shan from Knights of the Republic. She put on a great performance. She put on the very posh British accent,
the cut glass accent.
Hello, yes, I'm Bastila Shan. Yes, I actually thought she was English or like British. And I found out, I was like, oh no, she's American. Damn it! But she had me fooled. I was like, damn, that's a good accent, man. She was like that, Obi-Wan Kenobi, but a female sort of talking. Yes. Oh, hello.
Hello there.
Hello. But she's going to voice Bastila in the remake, which is going to be weird because
she's like 20 odd years older now.
She's a lot older now, and she was voicing a character who's supposed to be in her teens. I think like Bastila was 18, 19, very young, and she obviously, like, your voice changes when you get older. You know, it's nothing wrong. Like, you sound different. So to get that accent back, I don't know if they're going to be like, well, scrap
Maybe
that.
they just age her up.
Yeah, or scrap that. Where Bassa's going to be like in her 40s, like an American. You don't have to do the British accent anymore. But if they did that, I'll be like, I'm not uninstalling this game. Yeah, man. Like, yeah, she did. I never rarely play. I don't think I've ever played as a female shepherd, but her performance has been praised, and that is extremely good.
Yeah, people get really polarized over male and female shepherd, and they're like, "Oh, femship's the only way to do it. Male ship sucks," and it's like they're both really good. I play both. I've done like a few runs of each of them, and they're both really good. I feel like that's really insulting to Mark Meer, who I think does a really good job.
He does an outstanding job.
I think a lot of people are just put off by the fact that he's like the default male shepherd is just like a very generic bald space marine guy, and they feel like that just makes it boring. I don't know, but the default design sucks. But
yeah, the thing is,
voice acting's great.
The character was based on a Dutch model, so there's a real person, and I feel like the femme one there was nothing.
No, they just did it in the editor.
Yeah, it was nothing. It was like, if you look at the default, it just looked like a copy and paste of any other NPC you have in the game. It wasn't until Mass Effect 3 where they did the competition to get her actual face. And I have to say, the face looked good on paper, but when it was 3D animated, it looked a bit like she had Botox or something. It just looked really odd. You know,
bit cheekbony.
It didn't look right, because of the male one was based on an actual person. They took a 3D model of him. It looks more natural. You know what I mean? So, but that doesn't take away from the fact that she does a really good bloody job on that, man. She sounds tough. She sounds, when with Mass Effect 3, they show more of a vulnerable side to Shepard, and I think that comes off well in the voice acting. Like, it's not all just like, I'm a tough space marine. In this, it's more like it showed a vulnerable side to it, which I think the voice acting helps it, because obviously the animation weren't all that great. Like Mass Effect 1,
decent for the time, but yeah,
I think it peaked with Mass Effect 2. The animation. Mass Effect 3 sort of was a downgrade a bit, but it peaked then, so it was good. But it was the voices that sold it, man. The voice what did it. It's what we love.
Voice acting was very good across the entire series.
I mean,
regardless of what you think of the individual games, the voice acting across the board, across all the characters as well. And like you had, like you mentioned Jen Hale, obviously, who was in one of BioWare's previous games as Bastila in KOTOR, but you also had Rafael Sparga, who was Cartha Nessie in KOTOR.
Yeah,
he was everyone's favourite male soldier in Mass Effect. Cade Malenko.
It seems like in the Legendary Edition, he's got like a second wind. Like, people were like, actually, like, he is realizing he's not actually that bad a character. He's
not a bad character. He's a little bit bland, but he's not. I
still think he's boring as hell, though, man. I'm like, yeah, okay, Caden, but he's still gonna die on Vermeer. So, is it Vermeer he died on?
Yeah,
it was Vermeer, wasn't it? Yeah, you're still gonna die there. And spoilers. But the game came out. The original game came out in 2005.
15 years ago.
Come on, guys.
2007.
Yeah, 2007 was it?
Yeah, 15 years ago.
So for some reason,
even if a new version has just come out last year, it's still 15 years old.
Yeah, it's an old game.
But yeah, I'll tell you one role that Jen Hale was in that kind of surprised me when I found this out. Was she played Samus Aran in Metroid Prime. 2002, really? I think it was when that came out. Yeah, 2002.
Doing what? Like some grunts or hints? She didn't speak in that.
Literally just that.
Oh shit! Okay.
She's like, she takes damage. She goes, "Yeah," and that's Jen Hale.
Oh, that must have been an easy paycheck for Jen Hale.
But I think when she was cast, they originally intended to have Samus voiced. I'm sure I remember reading this somewhere. Their original idea was to have Samus voiced, but then they cut it. probably to like save time or whatever as the game sort of went through development. But yeah, all of her like grunts and action sounds and everything is all Jen Hale, which seems like a massive waste of a talent like Jen Hale.
Why hire her if you've got to use a talent like Jen Hale and have her voice the character. But yeah, that's weird. Because for a moment I thought you was going to say Metroid Other M. I was like, what? No,
I can't remember who voiced her in that, but she was very flat.
Very, very dull. Yeah, I don't know whether the director was like that. Yeah, we want her to sound as boring as possible. Like she's just going to
sound like she's on Valium.
Yeah, she's going to fall asleep.
Okay,
she's going to fall asleep any minute now. Yeah, but yeah, man. Anything like what other like sort of series has like phenomenal voice acting throughout the board?
Well, pretty much anything by Naughty Dog. We kind of. Wouldn't say we covered it, but we mentioned it. Like all the Uncharted games are great for that. Both Last of Us games are great for that. I guess Dragon Age series is pretty strong for that as well. But then again, that's BioWare, so it's kind of a lot of it is. I don't think there are many people that voice characters in both series, but they tend to have quite strong voice acting in both.
Yeah, the voice actress who voice acted Morrigan, she's I think she's like an Australian or maybe
Claudia Black.
Claudia Black. She was in Farscape, wasn't I think? Yeah. And she was in Pitch Black as well. She was one of the people to die very early on.
Yeah.
Which is a shame. But yeah, she does a great job as Morrigan. Yeah, they obviously she did again like what Jen Hale did, the sort of the British accent, but more seductive, more like like a femme fatale sort of thing, very mysterious. Like, oh, you're the Grey Warden, are you? So
I'm very ambiguous.
Yes, I might be good, I might be bad. Who the bloody hell knows?
I might have a demon baby, I might not.
No, I don't know. But yeah, I think she was a standout for me in terms of voice acting. It sort of stood out. Not like the character design as well. Morgan sort of stood up, but also the voice. There was something soothing about it. It's like velvet, like chocolate as well. It's like, this is nice, man.
You say that, but you also had friggin' Kate Mulgrew in Dragon Age.
Yeah, she was
Origins.
The mum.
Yeah, Flemeth.
She's been in all 3 games, I think.
When I first played Dragon Age Origins and met Flemeth, I was like, "What the fuck? Captain Janeway's in this game."
Yeah,
that's pretty cool.
Yeah, girl. I can't do her voice, but yeah, it's very droll, very gravelly sort of thing. It's good for the character, man. Did she actually? She didn't affect her voice. She didn't have to put on a voice. Was that
not really? No, it was
her actual voice.
It was very. She probably did something, but
she did something, yeah,
just to kind of differentiate. But it was very obviously her. Like as soon as you heard it, you were like, "Wow, Captain Janeway's in Ferelden."
She's got a very distinct voice.
Yeah, I feel like for some people, being able to immediately recognize voice actor pulls them out of it. For me, it's just like, "Oh, cool, that person's in this game." It's like you get. It's like when people I've seen this online. Some people say they like certain actors. If there's like an actor that's in every film, and that every time they see him in a film, it just takes them out of it because they're like, "Oh, it's Tom Cruise again." And it's like just a bit of suspension of disbelief. Come on, he's not Tom Cruise in this. He's whoever Ethan, whatever the hell his name is. In Mission Impossible.
Ethan Hunt. But yeah, it is kind of watching Tom Cruise being Tom Cruise because he's not a brilliant actor. There's a couple of films. Actually, I like him in most of his films. He's good at what he does. He's not like
he's a solid actor.
Most of the films he stars in is pretty good. Like got Collateral Damage, Minority Report, Last Samurai. I thought he's pretty good in that. Even though Ken Watanabe, I think, stole the show from him, even though he just learned English on that film. He just memorized his lines, but then he sort of he's learned English just from that. So that's pretty cool, man. He should be in a game, Ken Watanabe, his voice. should be voicing the character. God damn it! Right, get on it.
Call up what's his name, Chris Broad, and see if he's got his number.
Oh yeah, they're chums. Yeah, they did. He's done a video of him which he still hasn't fucking released. I was like, Christ! Like, yeah, I'm still editing that. I'm still going. I'm like, oh man, just come on! Stop being such a perfectionist and just release the thing. I mean, you interviewed him like middle of last year. Just come on, man. How long's it taking? I do like the fact that with us as YouTubers, we just do like gaming videos. It's very easy for us to edit, just cut off a bits here and there. But with his sort of thing, because he does quite high production, and he spends hours like just editing. When YouTubers say that, go, "Oh, I'm so tired. I spend all this time just editing videos." Then you realize, like, you see it all up on screen. Like, oh yeah, it does. Like, just to do all that, it does take a long time, man. All the special effects and the cinematography and all that. Does, yeah. I was like, oh, I see, because we're just blessed with just doing video games and just cutting bits out.
We don't have to put any effort in.
Yeah, we chose the easiest.
That's why we don't have any viewers.
Oh man, just stop shitting on us. I want to feel good about ourselves. Yeah, they only like it when we do put up VTube vlogs. So maybe we should become like a VTube channel,
which coincidentally do have more editing going on in them.
A lot more editing. Yeah, we should see a video coming up in the next month anyway. Oh yeah, but we've just gone off on a bit of a tangent. Chris Broad has a nice voice. No, he doesn't really. He just has a generic like Southern English voice,
standard Southern England voice. Yeah, number 2, 3, 4.
I think he's from like somewhere in Kent or something like that. He's got that Kent. You can't get any more south than Kent, and that. So it's just like, so I hear it.
He can, but it's in the sea.
Yeah, man. Like maybe the Mer people are in there somewhere. But speaking of like, he's not in video games, but he does voice. He does do some voice acting. His C.VA is good. I like him. He's got that deep voice. Yes. But even though he's
got
from
a decent range as well.
Yeah, he's from Wales.
From Wales.
But he doesn't have the typical Wales voice, does he?
Doesn't have the Welsh lilt.
But he like he kind of reminds me of like Richard Burton, like that deep voice. Like, oh yes, hello. Where are you, Liz? Where's my whiskey?
Give me more port.
Yeah, yes, something like that. But he does voice acting, and he's been in a couple of animes. There's a recent one he's in that he's voiced the character, one of the villains, of course, because you've got to have a Brit who's got to be the villain. He can't have anything else. So he's in that. But he's good, man, and he's a good YouTuber as well. Seems like a solid guy. But
I'd just like to point out that while you're talking, I looked this up, and Chris Broad is from Maidstone, so you were right.
Oh, he's from Kent. Oh, okay. Maidstone. Is that the nicer part of Kent? I don't know.
No, let's not go into that.
No, let's not.
What other voice actors do you like, Paul?
Oh, where can I begin? I like Ashley Burke.
Ashley Birch.
Yeah, she's good. She's fantastic. She's a really good voice actor. It's Tiny Tina. I didn't even realize that was her. I was like, what the hell? Yeah, and she was in Life is Strange. Really good. That's more of her. That sounds more of her normal voice though, like her everyday voice. But she's got range, man. That girl.
Yeah, she does.
Really good voice actor.
She was who I was going to bring up, but then you beat me to the punch. But she is fantastic. I think she's one of the best voice actors in the industry right now. And she's Aloy in Horizon as well.
Oh shit, yeah, she is. Damn.
And kind of feeding into what I said about a lot of them coming up through anime, she also voiced Mayuri in the dub of Steins Gate.
Yeah, when I found that out, I lost my shit because I watched it dubbed, and I was like, oh, who's the voice actor who does Mayuri? She sounds really good. And then it was Ashley. I was like, oh, that girl from What You're Doing,
Hey Ash, What You're Playing.
Yeah, Hey Ash, What You're Playing with her brother. Damn, that's good.
Yeah, I watched it subbed, and then when I heard that she was Mayuri dubbed, I was like, okay, I've got to check out the dub now.
It's weird because like in Steins Gate Zero, the anime, she was the voice of Mayuri in that for halfway through. Then they changed her over. I don't know if there was some back behind the scenes sort of shenanigans going on there, but they changed the voice actor.
Maybe it was like
some union
Screen Actors Guild thing, because that was that played into Life is Strange, didn't it? Because she voiced Chloe in the first Life is Strange, and then when Deck 9 made a prequel, Before the Storm, she couldn't voice Chloe because they were going with non-union voice actors, I think. So she was voiced by someone else. I think Rihanna DeVries, her name was, who also did a really good job. But yeah,
not
it might be that.
Yeah, maybe it was that. It was just odd. I mean, like speaking of like the Japanese dub of Steins Gate, this plays into voice acting. I did not like the Japanese version of oh Christ, who's the hacker? Daru. Yeah, I didn't like it. I preferred the dub of the English dub over the Japanese dub, just of him, his voice. Because in the Japanese version, he sounds like a typical otaku, like
kind of the point.
No, but I was like, yeah, but I was like, in the British one, he sounds like an actual person. It's just like not some like generic, like stereotypical like voice that you expect to hear. Like, you know, it just sounded like, oh, like, yeah, he's a smart guy. Maybe he's in the otaku, but we don't all. I probably consider myself an otaku, and I don't know, sound like you know, like that, you know.
Yeah, but you're not. You're also not obsessed with 2D girls and maid cafes.
Hey, maybe I am, man. You know, if I lived in
secretly,
Japan, maybe I would be in maid cafes and 2D girls. Hey, I have my waifus. God damn it.
Going back to Ashley Birch for a second, I don't know if you've played any of like the Persona spin-off stuff.
No.
But isn't
Persona a spin-off of another game series?
Well, it's like Megami Tensei is like the broader sort of overarching thing, and then you've got Shin Megami Tensei and Persona. They're both kind of offshoots of it. But yeah, like I mentioned earlier, talking about the whole American voice actors come up through like anime and Japanese games, with Laura Bailey voicing Rise in Persona 4. And I think pretty much all of the spin-offs, Rise is voiced by Ashley Birch instead.
Oh, okay.
So you kind of feel like Laura Bailey's like, okay, I've stepped up now, so I'm not doing that stuff anymore.
I don't need to do that crap anymore.
You got to find someone else.
Shadows and going into other worlds. What is this, an isekai? Hell no. I'm into more serious things now.
But yeah, like the rhythm game Dancing All Night, at the very least, she voiced her in that. And I can't remember if she was in the fighting games as well. Persona 4 Arena games, I'm not sure. But definitely in the rhythm game, she was voiced by Ashley Birch. Mm-hmm. But yeah, she's kind of, I feel like she's in that kind of just breaking through to like the bigger stuff kind of stratosphere over the last few years, like with how Life is Strange blew up and then her landing Aloy in Horizon Zero Dawn. I feel like she's kind of like breakthrough in a sense, even though obviously she'd done other stuff, like you mentioned Tiny Tina in Borderlands, and then also recently she was Parvati in The Outer Worlds as well, and she was the best damn character in that whole game. And it's got to the point where you hear her in a game, you're like, oh shit, that's actually Ashley Birch. Because I had no idea she was in The Outer Worlds until I played it, and then I met Parvati, and I was like, oh, it's Ashley Birch, that's cool. But yeah, so I feel like there is, like you're saying, how it can be quite hard to break into. It seems like it's hard to break into, at least from the outside looking in. But I feel like there's always kind of people moving up, and then people sort of replacing them.
Well, if you're Troy Baker, man, you know, that could all be a thing of the past with this NTF voices he's endorsing.
I mean, he essentially replaced Nolan North. Nolan North was Troy Baker before Troy Baker was Troy Baker.
Now Troy Baker is going to be replaced by Troy Baker when they perfect those that shit.
The voice NFT.
Fucking hell! What a load of
Cyber Baker.
Yeah, he'll be out of work whilst other companies are still using his voice. Anyway, man. Yeah, but enough about that, because we don't want to go on too much. I got a voice actor that I like, and it's I don't think it's a surprise to anyone that this person voice actor, but Mark Hamill as well. He does a lot. He does not just like voice acting in games. He does like shows, TV shows and animations and stuff like that. But yeah, he's a good one. He voice acted obviously the Joker on the animated show, but he also did it on the I think he did it on the Arkham games as well. I know he did it for 3 of them. I don't know if he did it for the prequel. But yeah, he was the Joker in that, and he's good, man.
Fantastic job.
Yeah. He was also in a couple of I think he was in a Studio Ghibli film. I think it was the La Puta. He was in that. He was the main bad guy. If you watched it dubbed, he was the main bad guy. And that the guy who's trying to steal this little girl's gem, or steal the little girl. I don't know, something like that. Yeah, he was the bad guy in that. I was like, oh, no, it's Mark Hamill, man. Yeah, this guy's everywhere. It's in films.
He was also in the first Yakuza game when it was released.
What's his name?
He was Majima.
Majima, yeah.
Mad Dog of Shimano.
I remember I was like, oh, that's not a good idea. It's
so funny watching clips of it, though.
It's I think with that sort of game series, it's best.
It needs to be in Japanese.
It needs to be played. You've got to play it in Japanese. You can't really capture that same sort of essence.
It's like the whole thing is very sort of its place and of its time. It's very much like, here's a chunk of modern Japan, and then to hear like the first Yakuza game had a crazy voiceover cast. Like Mark Hamill was in it, obviously. I think who else was in it? I've got to try and remember. But they went big with the dub because they thought it was going to be a huge hit, and then it wasn't really, which was a shame. But then, you had Eliza Dushku in it. Remember Eliza Dushku?
I remember Eliza Dushku. Yeah. What happened to her? I didn't know she did voice acting work.
Yeah, I think she did a few things. Michael Madsen was in it.
Oh shit!
And yeah, Mark Hamill, as we mentioned. But yeah, they had some big names in it. And unfortunately it didn't do great, but it did mean that when they did bring it back, they just stuck to the original Japanese,
which that type of game
just works so much better.
Should be. I wish I knew more about the Japanese voice actors, because they do a great job as well, obviously, in anime and games as well. There's always that dubs over subs debate going on in the sort of anime world. I'm pretty much like, I can watch it in dub if the dub is good, but there's some like animes that should be watched in its original Japanese, because there's no way you can sort of perfect that sort of essence, if I'm looking for that right word. It doesn't just translate well. So yeah. So I'm either way, man. I could go either, but I don't have a hate for either one, or definitely for the dubs, because some of the dub voice actors, they get on to do Japanese localizations. They're really good. They're really talented people, and it's a shame that some people just outright hate it, despise it.
I have a question for you that's sort of related.
Yes.
Which I remember this being discussed at the time this game came out. Which is a decade old now, good lord.
Yes.
And it also popped up again because there was a recent-ish no-clip documentary about the development of this game.
Okay.
Which I'll mention in a minute. But how do you feel about... Because obviously people that do voice acting mainly do voice acting, and that's their sort of area of focus and what they're good at. But then obviously you've got people that are sort of traditional actors, I guess, like screen or film actors.
Oh, I think I know where yeah. How do I feel about them?
How do you feel about them coming in and sort of end up voicing characters in
you
games?
you must have read my mind, because I was thinking the same fucking thing. Literally, I was like, oh yeah, like I was going to
kind of led in off of like the whole Mark Hamill and
I was like thinking, I was like, I'm going to bring that up. Thing. Yeah, honestly, I was thinking that it's okay sometimes. I know Kojima likes to use like fucking like A-list celebrities in his games now for motion capture, actually them in the game and their voices, which I'm kind of against. I'm not a big fan of that when it's just them. It's the actor in the game,
Like Lea Seydoux in Death Stranding. Guillermo del Toro.
Yeah. He's there actually. There's
a few.
There's a couple of others in there as well. Actual Hollywood A-listers.
Mads Mikkelsen's in there. Who else is in there? What's his name? The main character is Norman Reedus.
Yeah, I think his love interest is an actress who's been in James Bond. She's in
Lea Seydoux.
Yeah, she's in there. I was just like, it's kind of people talk about voices taking them out of games. Seeing them in there kind of takes it out from me because I don't know what it is like with. I mean, I'm not 100% opposed to it, but Kojima seems to have a thing where he likes to put. It's like when he replaced what's his name, David Hayter, as Solid Snake.
Kiefer Sutherland.
Kiefer Sutherland. I was like, what is that about?
Yeah, what was the point?
Yeah,
what was the need for that?
I remember there was a big outcry. I was like, oh, why? Maybe they had a falling out or something, or Kojima wanted to, because Kojima wants to make movies, I think, more than anything. So maybe he thought having Kiefer Sutherland voice Snake would be a good idea, like to legitimize his craft a bit more. I think that was a big mistake because, for one thing, Snake doesn't really talk that much in that game anyway, So what was the point of bringing him in there and having him voice?
David Hayter has such a distinctive voice that everybody knows as the Solid Snake voice as well. That you just ended up losing that.
I think he was very bitter about that. He didn't hide the fact that he was annoyed and upset and hurt by what Kojima did to him, which is fair play, man. You voiced this character since the inception of Metal Gear, especially on the PS1. I know it was out before that on the Nintendo, but what we know as Metal Gear Solid, he voiced the character, and then for him just to be sort of like cast away for a big Hollywood actor, so we were smacking to him. I mean, Kiefer, you hear him, he does a good job, but you just know it's Kiefer Sutherland doing his thing.
It's Jack Bauer.
Yeah, it's just Jack Bauer. Yeah, and Hayter had to really come up with that voice. He made that his own. It's like you get certain characters in video games that are distinctive, and that voice goes with that character.
Oh, yeah, it's like Steve Downes as Master Chief. That he is Master Chief.
Yeah,
you couldn't switch him out. I mean, he's quite old now, so they're probably going to have to switch him out at some point. But it's going to be freaking weird when they do. Because his voice is so distinctive as that character.
Maybe get
but the
Kiefer
game
Sutherland.
that made me
maybe get him to voice it.
The game that made me think of the subject was actually Dishonored, because that had quite a cast in it. Like I'm looking at on Wikipedia just to remind myself, but Susan Sarandon was in it. Carrie Fisher was in it.
Really?
Yeah.
What? Yeah. Which one? The first one?
The first one, yeah. Susan Sarandon was Granny Rags, if I remember correctly. Carrie Fisher was, if you've got like the propaganda broadcast stuff in the game. In one of the missions you can kill that guy who does the broadcast, and then he gets replaced by Carrie Fisher.
Oh shit! Okay.
Michael Madsen is in it. Michael Madsen played Dowd.
Yeah.
Lena Headey. And then the one I think most people remember was the voice of Emily as a child.
Yeah.
Child Emily was Chloe Grace Moretz.
Yeah, I know that. I knew that one. I knew that because she was like coming out with Kick-Ass and shit like that.
Yeah.
So I knew about that, but I didn't know about the other, especially Susan Sarandon. Didn't know about that.
He also, Brad Dourif was also in it. If you remember Brad Dourif, he was Grima Wormtongue in The Two Towers. So yeah, some big name actors in it. I remember it at the time kind of kicking off a bit of a discussion about should these jobs have actually gone to like voice actors.
With the cast completely packed out with pretty much celebrity A-listers. Yeah, I don't like that. When it's one or two, I don't mind, but when practically the whole main cast is celebrity wise, I was kind of like, man, they're fighting for their lives out there. Some of them, man, trying to get work, and you've got these Hollywood guys just coming over and just taking their jobs in a way, which is it's I feel bad for them. Like when it's like something like that, I'm against. But when it's like you have like it's like in Mass Effect, I bring back Mass Effect again. When you had Martin Sheen as the elusive man. Yeah, I don't mind that because that's one part. But if they packed it out with like other big celebrities for the whole...
You imagine Charlie Sheen a bit as the elusive man.
Jesus Christ. Yeah.
Every time you had one of those like end of mission screens where it gives you a rundown of everything you did, just have him going, winning.
Winning, yeah. I mean, I know they had like another celebrity on there who was on in TV shows and films. Joker, the guy who voiced Joker, he was Seth Green.
Seth Green,
yeah, he was.
But he just worked really well for Joker.
Yeah, he did.
That was just a really good bit of casting.
I think he's like more into video games. It's when because I know he's like a bit geeky, and so he probably wanted to get him more into gaming and stuff like that, and voice acting that way. So that I don't mind.
He just did a fantastic job anyway. Joker was great.
I also know that, mate, I think Edie was she voiced by a
yeah, that was Trisha Helfer.
Yeah, so
from Battlestar Galactica.
There's a couple of them sneaking in there, but when it's like massive, like a celebrity, like the Kiefer Sutherland thing's a perfect example of like when they got rid of like I didn't like that. I was just like, hey man, hey, come on now, don't do that.
I'll tell you one example of when I think it worked really well was Halo 3 ODST, because you've got this squad of ODSTs and they're all voiced by people from Firefly, basically. You had oh man, what's the guy's name that plays Captain Mao? It's completely gone from my head.
Oh yeah, the big guy. Shit, what was his name?
He's a well-known actor, and he's completely gone from my head.
Yeah. What the hell?
Let me see if I can look this up while we're both floundering here.
Oh yeah, I know who you're talking about, but I can't. I got his name, his face.
Nathan Fillion.
Nathan Fillion.
Okay, so you've got there's 4 members of this squad of ODSTs, and you've got Nathan Fillion, Captain Mao. You've got Alan Tudyk, who was Wash in Firefly. You've got Adam Baldwin as Dutch, who was Jane in Firefly, and then again Trisha Helfer as from Battlestar Galactica was Captain Dare. But it felt like a little Firefly reunion in a sense, because like you've got these 3 guys that are all in Firefly and Serenity in their own little squad, and then obviously the last guy was Nolan North, because of course he was, because that was when Nolan North was in everything. But it worked really well for that, having these sort of more well-known actors, because they already kind of had that cohesiveness, that camaraderie from being in Firefly and doing Serenity and everything.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like often for a lot of people it comes across as a bit of a distraction. And I remember, like I mentioned, that Dishonored documentary, and one of the lead designers, Harvey Smith, was talking about the different challenges of having bigger actors in it and voice actors and stuff. Like voice actors are more flexible because they're not going to be like going off to shoot a film in like Zimbabwe or something in the middle of when you're trying to record. But yeah, it depends on the game, I guess.
Yeah, with them, it's like they're kind of smaller time. They're not like big Hollywood.
Yeah, they're not huge.
They're big, but they're in certain circles. It's like the Bruce Campbell thing, and he's not like a massive Hollywood star, but we know him because of the films he is. He's known in that sort of circle. So I don't mind that. That's cool. But yeah, when it's Dishonored, where practically it's like the who's who, yeah, it's just like great, and they're expensive as well. So a lot, hiring them out it costs a lot of money, and it must feel bad for like the voice actor who's like, oh, I could have done that voice for cheaper, and that gives me a chance to put that on my resume. They're not going to go hungry. I might do. Do you know what I mean? It's just like, yeah, it's a good thing that there's more games being made, so it gives more chances for these voice actors to have a platform and get their voice out there to other people to know them. I mean, there's always going to be that unless AI takes over. Hopefully not. But yeah, like I prefer it when it is a voice actor doing it, not like a Hollywood actor, because I know they don't really put accents on apart from Mark Hamill. They speak how their normal voices. I prefer it when they do a particular voice or accent or something like that. I prefer it when it's like that because it shows their talent. That's because that's what they're there. That's how their talent is, to do that, is to make you think there's someone else. It's not when you hear like Martin Sheen go, oh, the Elusive Man, and it's like, oh, but it's Martin Sheen, and it kind of looks like him as well. Just a younger version. So that kind of like, I know it's them. It doesn't take me out. I'm just like, oh, it's Michael Sheen. But when it's like a voice actor putting on a voice or character, I was like, that's the character. It's like David Hayer, you know, I keep saying it. Solid Snake, man. That's my Solid Snake for me.
I remember one of the DLCs for Dragon Age Inquisition, the Deep Roads one. I can't remember what it was called, but David Hayter plays a dwarf in that, and it's just like the second you meet him, you're like, it's Solid Snake. He's a dwarf in the Deep Roads.
I do tell you what, like one voice actor that I know, it's that voice actor. Every time I hear his voice is Steve Bloom. I'm like, oh, that's Steve Bloom there. It kind of has. I was like, is he going to try and put on a different voice? Because I'm just always hearing him going, oh, it's Spike from Cowboy Bebop or something like that. Oh, hey, how's it going? Or it's Mugen from Samurai Champloo, because he plays that character.
A ton of dubbed anime,
and I'm like, man, he's in Dragon Age Origins as well. He plays a dwarf in that as well. So, it's Steve Bloom, man. How's it going, man? Can you not like try and put on a different accent? You're good, man. You're good. You're real good. But kind of like let's hear your range a bit more. Let's try and put on a slightly different voice. I don't want to go, oh, it's Steve Bloom playing a dwarf. Hey, let's go. Yeah. So, but that's like good point you bring up. You know, with the Hollywood stars coming in. I could see Kojima doing that more for his games. He seems to love them. So, and he wants them in the game, so it gets the motion capture. They get that basically like they're acting. And film, I've not played Death Stranding. People either love it or you hate it. So the voice acting in that, it's like you know what you're going to get with these Hollywood actors. They're just going to get their voices. So it's that good. Does he speak much in it? The main, what's the actor's
Norman
name?
Reedus.
Norman Reedus doesn't sound like he speaks that much in it. I don't know.
I honestly haven't played it. I do actually have it on PC, but I just haven't got around to it. Especially when people told me it was 50 hours long, I was like, that's going on the back burner. It's too long.
Yeah. So
unless it's an RPG, 50 hours is just too much. Like The Last of Us 2 was 35 hours, and that was too long.
It did drag a bit, didn't it? Even though I thought it's a really good game.
It's a very good game.
Better than the first in terms of mechanics. It's more solid. I did think like sometimes especially the melee or the movements, it was a bit stiff, but the Last of Us 2 really sort of perfected all that much better. It did drag on for a bit, man. I was like,
it was too long.
It's like, come on, guys, cut. You can cut this bit out, shave a few hours off here and there, but yeah, like the voice acting, solid, man. You can't go wrong with that, man. Who voice acted Ellie? Was it Ashley Johnson?
Yes.
Well, she did a really good job because she was playing a bloody 12-year-old and she was a full-grown woman in that.
Yeah, she's fantastic, and I don't think I'd ever heard of her before the first Last of Us either. She kind of seemed to come out of nowhere, and she was incredible.
Come out the blocks, man. Yeah, she really did sound like a 10-year-old, like put this really good accent.
I think she was supposed to be like 14 or something, wasn't she?
Oh, Ellie?
Yeah.
Was she 14?
I think so, somewhere 12? Around there.
Okay.
But yeah, she was very good. Just having a quick look. Doesn't look like she was in some video games before, but stuff like Ben 10 and Cartoon Network games and stuff, which is like, how do you go from that straight to The Last of Us? It's kind of mad.
Must have liked what they heard, I don't know. Oh yeah, well, that's our Ellie. Yeah.
She was really good in that Ben 10 game.
Really good.
Perfect for this gritty post-apocalyptic nightmare world.
And in Last of Us 2, she obviously played an older character. You could still tell it was Ellie. It's voiced by the same character for the voice actor. So it was really good, man. It's like, oh, damn. Voice acting's cool, wasn't it? I wish I could do that with my voice, man. I can't do it.
I'd love to be able to do it, but I just don't think I could, quite frankly.
I just don't think I have the voice, the talent to do that, man. I mean, I think like one time when we did voice acting quote unquote. It was when we were playing Doki Doki Literature Club.
I'd almost forgotten about that. Why did you have to remind me?
Remember that? It was your idea, man.
It was my idea. To be fair.
We got to voice these by distinct characters. I was like, okay, so you're gonna play? I'll play the main character. I was like, so I've got to do all the girls' voices. Brilliant. I kept losing track of who I was voicing. I was like, I've lost the track for the voice. So they all supposed to have distinct voices.
You really gave it your all, though.
Yeah.
Kudos to you. If anyone watching or listening to this hasn't seen that masterpiece, go and check it out on our channel.
My first and only time at voice acting, where I had to play kawaii bloody Japanese schoolgirls. Yeah, it was a test on the old vocals, man. I'll tell you that, especially with my deep voice. But yeah, man. Yeah.
So I want to, before we wrap up, because I think we're probably coming to round about the end of the discussion. Would you say?
Hey! I'm the presenter. I tell you when we wrap up. I say we go all night. I'm joking. Yeah, carry on.
I just want to give a shout out to a voice acting company called Side UK, who does quite a lot of Japanese games, actually, which is surprising. But if anyone's played Xenoblade Chronicles, the first one, which is also 10 years old now, wow. I remember when that first came out, it got quite a lot of praise for the voice cast because, kind of bizarrely for the time and for the genre, it was voiced entirely by British people.
Wow.
And they did a pretty good job. And it also even had Jenna Coleman in it, which was, I think, before she was in Doctor Who. And that was Side UK, and they also did, I think some of the people did Dragon Quest VIII a few years before that, which also was a completely British cast as far as I remember, and also very much a sort of standout at the time in that, you know, the vast majority of Japanese RPGs and stuff have those same voice actors that are dubbing anime in the US. So it's kind of weird when a Japanese RPG comes out and it's fully voiced by British people. But more recently, they've been doing the English localization for Final Fantasy XIV. So A Realm Reborn had a cast who were predominantly American, but trying to kind of sound sort of vaguely British because it was like a medieval fantasy world kind of thing, but quite...
I've got to sound British if it's fantasy.
Quite like grounded and sort of political. So they were like, oh, got to do British accents. And it always kind of stood out because I don't know what it's like for like an American audience, but as a Brit, if you hear like someone who's not British doing a British accent, like immediately, like more, I'd say more often than not, but literally like 99% of the time, you will immediately be like, nope. There might be one or two performances that you're like, I'm not sure, but for the vast majority of the time, it immediately takes you out of it. But from Heaven's Ward onwards, the localization was handled by Side UK, and it's so good. And like the cast is fully British, like the main cast at least. And you've got some people that most of the cast, most people probably haven't heard of, but one of the main cast is voiced by one of the people that was actually in Xenoblade Chronicles. Character in Xenoblade Chronicles called Fiora was voiced by Karina Reeves, and then she is Tataru in Final Fantasy XIV. So it's pretty cool to kind of hear that as like a callback to that game. But it's just a really good cast, and then you've got sort of lesser, more minor characters. Like, do you know who Tracy Ann Oberman is, Paul?
No. Who's that?
She was in EastEnders. And she was also... Did you ever watch Friday Night Dinner, the comedy?
Yeah, I did, yeah.
She was the aunt in that.
Okay. Oh, yeah. Sure.
And she voices a sort of more of a minor character in Final Fantasy XIV. But yeah, the cast is just really good, and they just do a fantastic job, and they're all British, and it's just a constant joy to listen to.
British.
And they're probably my favourite voice cast in a game at the moment, just because that core cast have been together at this point for like, I don't know, 7 years or something, across like 4 expansions, I think. And Yeah, they just feel like a group of people that actually know each other, which is pretty cool. Yeah, I just wanted to shout Side UK and all those people that work on that.
Big shout out. All right. Yeah, like before we wrap up, I'd just like to go back to what you said about Final Fantasy Realm Reborn being grounded and political. I can't really take it seriously when you got giant rabbits and like chocobos and all that shit there.
Like, well, I mean, as far as grounded and political can go in that setting.
I'm like, and you got little elves or whatever the fuck they're called, like just like dancing around. Yeah, right, whatever, man. Just start laughing. But anyway, I like Final Fantasy, by the way. I'm not shitting on it, but I'm just like, yeah, okay, mate. I know. But yeah, that was our favorite voice actors. I sort of talk about the world of voice acting, and yeah, so I think what have we learned from this? I've learned that
voice acting is great. The people that do it are really talented, and we've met some of them at signings and stuff because we really appreciate their work.
Talented people, and if you're trying to get into voice acting, it can be tough, but don't give up and just pursue your dreams. But with that uplifting quote, I think that's where we're going to end it. Thanks for watching, and thanks for listening. And if you've been listening on Spotify, you're missing out on our beautiful faces. But I was
wondering where you were going with that for a minute.
We actually have to use our voices in that one, like properly. But anyway, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you again on the next podcast. Bye. Say bye. Yeah.